All right, we have a quorum. It's 5 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the Grafton Finance Committee to order. This meeting is being held pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. The various boards and committees representing the town of Grafton will conduct their public meetings and hearings via remote participation. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted. So that said, we'll take attendance. Barry Smith.
Barry, aye, here, present.
Sue Robbins.
Here.
Dan Kusher.
Kusher here.
Heather McHugh.
Heather here.
Eric Swenson.
Swenson here.
I do not see Irene, and I do not see Gopal. I believe that's who we're missing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a quorum, so we'll get started. Thank you all for being available for this meeting. The purpose of the meeting, there's a couple of issues to deal with. As you know, the select board and the town administrator entered into an agreement to end his service for the town. The select board will now be looking at starting a search. Under the charter, section 4-6, there is a screening committee made up of 9 members, of which there's a member of this designated by the select board, the school committee, the library trustees, the planning board, 2 members designated by the finance committee, and 3 members designated by the town moderator. So I thought, let's get a jump on this and get us together to designate our 2 members so that when the other boards and committees meet, we're ready to go. So thank you for being here tonight. I want to say that there's been a lot of rumors out there that I'm interested, or I have the inside track on the job. I want to use this public meeting to state for the record, I am not interested in the job. I have never been interested in the job, and I will not be pursuing the job. So I want to put that rumor to rest, because there's a lot of rumors out there that are really starting to get out of hand, and people think they know things that they don't know. I've never been interested in this job. So I just wanted to put that there on the record for the finance committee. And that said, I would love to be one of our 2 representatives on the screening committee. And I hope the committee supports me. I think as a 35-year professional, as a town manager, town administrator, I think I can bring an interesting perspective and help the town in the screening process and getting the best candidates before the select board. I served as the interim town administrator a couple of years ago for the town of Dunstable, and my job there was to actually hire the town administrator. So I actually did the search for the town. So I do have experience hiring and appointing people. So if the committee is willing to support that, I would love to be one of the 2 members. So that said, I will open it up to other comments. Sue.
May I make a motion?
You can make as many motions as you'd like.
I move that we have Mark Haddad as one of our representatives from the finance committee to the TA search committee.
Is there a second? Barry, you seconded it? Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor by roll call. Barry?
Barry, aye.
Heather?
Heather, aye.
Dan?
Kusher, aye.
Sue? Robbins? Eric?
Swenson, aye.
I'll abstain, so we'll declare that vote passed. So we still have one more position to represent the finance committee on the screening committee. Are there anybody interested? Anybody want to nominate somebody? Anybody want to nominate themselves? Please, not all at once.
I don't mind doing it. I actually did it. I was on the committee when we hired Tim. So I sort of know the process. I have no problem if no one else wants to do it. And I feel bad because I'm never on any other boards. This is something that's sort of short. Well, maybe not short, but it's a limited time span that I can probably swing. But again, if anyone else is dying to do it, that's fine. I just feel bad because I'm not on any other committees.
Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
In that case, I make a motion to have Heather McHugh be our 2nd representative on the search committee.
Is there
Second.
a second? It's been moved in second. Is there any further discussion? we'll move to a vote by roll call. Barry,
Barry, aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Eric,
Swenson, aye.
aye. Heather?
I have to abstain or do I say
You
aye?
could vote, you could vote if you'd like.
Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's awesome. So Heather and I will represent the Finance Committee on the Screening Committee. I'll notify the Select Board that we've made that decision. I had asked Sue to amend our agenda tonight. The next thing on the agenda was to consider conducting a staffing review of the Town Administrator's Office. I was thinking now that we're going to be going through hiring a new administrator, maybe it makes sense to do a little bit of an audit of that office before anything gets done and anybody gets appointed. And I put it on the agenda, and I was contacted by Ed Prisby, who said that and I should know this since I'm on the committee with Barry, that the Sustainability Commission is actually going to be doing that next. And he would appreciate it if the Finance Committee would let that committee take that role. And so I agree 100%, unless there is an overwhelming desire of this committee to take that on. I have a feeling, Barry, you're going to be very much involved in that review anyway, as a member of the committee. How do you feel about that?
Okay, my 2 cents is that we have 2 parts to the Sustainability Commission. One part focuses on the school data, school issues. One part focuses on the municipal data, municipal issues. From what I've seen of the school folks, they have done a magnificent job, excellent, really good, very insightful, very helpful. I'm concerned that on the municipal side, we really haven't gotten off the dime. We have a lot of data, a lot of information. We did a preliminary a preliminary report that identifies issues associated with municipal and school, but things haven't moved on from there. So I'm concerned about the hard thing, which is what we're talking about now. Gathering data and making some initial comments is something you can pretty much do using existing data, but to actually start digging in and asking other towns, how long does it take for your inspectional department to sign up and get inspections done? How many times do you have to, all the data that you have to gather to try to assess the functioning, as we're mentioning, of not just the town administrator's office, but of the town. I see that as being a challenge to do. If Ed wants to say, hey, we're going to do that, the State Sustainability Commission is going to do that, then I would say, great, but we need to have agreement, and we need to have the engagement of all of the other members of that committee involved in this thing. We can't keep relying on just Ed to do all of the writing and Amy Marr to do all of the data gathering on the school side.
Okay, I agree with you 100%. And I know that COVID, the pandemic sort of delayed our ability to meet, and it sort of put the brakes on a lot of the stuff that we were doing. The next thing that we were supposed to do was to do interviews with department heads and things like that. And we did have that one initial meeting with the town administrator's office. And then we didn't go on from there because COVID hit and we couldn't start meeting again. But I think you're right, Barry. I think we need to pick up the pace again and get started. So I'll reach out to Ed and I'll let him know that we're really chomping at the bit to get this done and we want to work with him to do it. I think your points are very valid and I appreciate you making those.
Yeah, we have a stack of questions that might be asked of individual department heads or the town administrator who can answer for them.
Yep.
That's up on that GSC, whatever, Google Docs page.
Yep.
Other questions should be brought up, different ones. Maybe some of those don't need to be brought up. It's hard to answer those questions from the budget books from other towns. I'll say this, the Grafton budget book is really, really well done. It's the best one I have seen. It's better than the one who keeps getting awards up in Northborough. He's good, but the data is laid out clearly and not necessarily concisely when you're going over 500 pages on a budget book, but it's all there. and you can find the answers to the questions. I can't do that on a number of other towns. Some of the other towns don't even have their 2019 budget book up there, let alone 20 and 21. So anyway, I'll stop kvetching.
Thank you, Barry. All right, I'll report back go ahead, Sue.
I just wanted to say, I think the GSC is probably the appropriate committee to look into all of this. And I have no problem with them doing that. Are we going to, were we going to send a letter to them asking them to do that? Or or to the select board, or?
I'll reach out to Ed and talk to him, unless you wanted to have something more formal. I was planning on doing it and then reporting back to you at our next meeting, which will be in what, Sue, 2 weeks on the 26th?
August 26th.
On the 26th.
That's fine. I just was wondering how it was going to process. That's fine.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you. I appreciate that discussion. Updating you on the vacancy on the committee. I talked to the moderator the other day. We emailed back and forth. We're still waiting for an opinion from town council. I don't know why it's taking so long, but he has not heard from town council yet. And he was supposed to reach back out. This was Monday. Today's Wednesday, right? So this was Monday. He was going to reach back out to town council and find out what's going on. I heard that there was an applicant from precinct 1. I don't know that for a fact, but I heard that there was one applicant from precinct 1. If that's the case, I'm going to ask the moderator to give us the opportunity to meet with that person at our next meeting, and then have him hopefully allow us to give him a recommendation and have him, consider our recommendation in making that appointment. So right now, we're still an 8-member committee. We're waiting for the ruling from town council. And if there is an applicant from precinct 1, hopefully we can meet with that person and then take it from there. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
All right. And then the final
Mark?
thing, go ahead, please, Dan, go ahead.
Can you remind us what we're waiting on from town council?
As you know, the moderator made 2 appointments to fill the 2 vacancies on the committee. One was from precinct 3, and that was Gopal. And then the second one was a Margaret Haynes, who lives in precinct 5. The bylaw says that there shall be representation from each precinct, and no more than 4 from any other precinct. Matt was our precinct 1 representative, and there were no applicants. So I questioned the appointment of Margaret Haynes because she does not live in precinct 1, and whether or not that was a legal appointment to the committee. And we decided we would go to town council for an opinion. That was 3 weeks ago. And I don't know why it's taken so long. It seems like a pretty easy, the word shall means shall. So, but you always
Right.
want to have a legal opinion before you make a determination. So we're still waiting for town council to give the moderator direction.
Yeah, it really bothers me that we're waiting so long for such a simple clarification.
I agree 100%. I don't know what the holdup is, Dan. I'm sorry.
All
I
right.
wish I had better news to report. Go ahead, Barry.
Would it make any sense to post something on Facebook saying, hey, we're looking for another member and it has to be from precinct 1?
I think the moderator did that. Sue Fiacco, did they re-advertise? I thought somebody re-advertised the position.
Not that I know of.
Okay, let me talk to the moderator, Barry, and find out what he's doing about advertising. Because you're right. I mean, how hard, we should be able to get somebody from precinct 1. I think we need somebody from precinct 1. So let's make sure we do that right. All right, I will have a report back for you at our meeting of the 26th on that as well. And then the last item on the agenda is, I guess we have our annual Association of Town Finance Committee dues. How much is the amount, Sue?
In the amount of $245.
Okay, and then we want to authorize Sue to process that payment. Here's the bill. So can I hear a motion to approve this invoice and authorize Sue to pay the invoice? Sue Robbins?
I move that we pay the finance committee dues of $245 and authorize Sue to, what is it she has to do?
Just to pay the bill for us,
Pay
because
the-
we can't sign it. We're just going to authorize her to just pay it.
Authorize Sue to sign it for us.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Barry?
Barry, aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Dan?
I
Eric?
Swanson, aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Haddad, aye. I declare that unanimous. Is there anything else that the Finance Committee would like to discuss? I will say that I did receive communication from Dan, who asked us to, when we're considering an amendment of the charter on the appointing process for the Finance Committee, that we look at the appointing process for the screening committee. He raised a very, very good point to me that, you know, the moderator now appoints the Finance Committee and then has 3 appointments on the screening committee. So technically, the moderator directly or indirectly has 5 influences on the screening committee out of the 9 positions. And so Dan would like us to take a look at that, and I think that's a very legitimate thing to consider. So Dan, is there anything you want to add? I was going to put that on the agenda for us to talk about on the 26th, but what would you like to say about that now?
So actually, I thought about it a little more, and it occurred to me that it's actually not really under the scope of the Finance Committee.
That's
So I wonder if maybe it would be better to kind of discuss it with the like select board or something, and maybe see if they want to sponsor it. Or I mean, we can do it. There's nothing that stops us from doing it. But the ones that you proposed are really directly about Finance Committee, and then that one that I thought of is kind of a step away. So
we can draft a letter, you know, we'll put it on the agenda for the 26th and talk about it. Maybe we can draft a letter to the select board asking them to consider looking at that section of the charter as well, if we're going to be doing what we're doing in our section. So I think that's a legitimate thing. So I can definitely do that. Go ahead, Sue.
Mark, please keep in mind that the warrant closes on September 4th.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
So that's
That's
a
a
little
good point.
close to ask them at that point to start putting together an article.
so that's an excellent, thank you for reminding me about that. We have enough time for us to vote on the changes that we made to my proposal on the 26th and get that to the board by the 4th.
Yes.
Dan, do you want to draft, if it's okay with the Finance Committee, Dan, do you want to draft a memo to the select board asking them to consider it on behalf of the Finance Committee? And if it's okay with the members of the committee, if Dan and I edit it, look at it, finalize it, and then send it off, is that okay with you? The concept is what we just discussed, so I would ask for the Finance Committee to allow us to do that without bringing it back to the committee. Is that all right with you, Dan?
yep, sure.
Is there any objection from any member of the committee?
Good idea.
Okay, then that's what we'll do, and we'll get it in. We'll get it in as soon as possible. Sue, thank you very much for bringing that up and reminding us.
You're welcome. I have one more, Mark. If you
Please
don't-
keep going.
Where does the screening, the TA screening committee positions that we just voted on, where will they go to? Who are they sent to?
I will send a letter.
Okay.
If it's okay with the Finance Committee, to the select board, letting them know that we have designated 2 members of the Finance Committee to serve on the screening committee. And I'm hoping that the planning board and the school committee and the library trustees, and of course the select board, have designated theirs, because the way the charter is written, the moderator cannot make his 3 appointments until after the other 6 appointments are made. Because he's supposed to look at those 6 appointments and say, okay, we need representation from other areas, and that's how he's supposed to base his appointments. So the sooner those 6 are made, then the moderator can make his 3 appointments, and then the committee can meet. Once the committee meets to organize, they have 150 days to do the search, get 3 to 5 names to the select board, and then the select board have 45 days in which to make the final appointment.
Right.
That's how the charter is written. So I'm hoping that everybody else is doing what we're doing. I was proactive in scheduling this. I said, well, there's a vacancy. We need to appoint somebody. Let's get going on it so that we can jump on it as soon as possible. So that's how it works.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Nope.
All right, I accept the motion to adjourn.
So
Make a
move.
motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Barry,
Barry, aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Dan,
I
Sue,
Aye.
Eric.
Swenson, aye.
I declare this meeting adjourned, and thank you so much for your attendance tonight. I appreciate it. We'll see you all on the 26th.